They say history is written by the victors. If that's true, Hannibal Barca's true legend has been hidden. You've likely heard of his famous march through the Alps with elephants. But what if I told you the most fascinating parts of his story were never taught in school? Stay with me, because the untold side of Hannibal Barca's campaigns will reveal this legendary general in an entirely new light. And the final twist will leave you speechless. Hannibal Barca, one of history's most brilliant military minds, wasn't just a general. He was a tactician, a master strategist, and a man driven by an oath sworn to his father, Hannibal Barca. Imagine a young Hannibal vowing eternal hatred toward Rome. That single promise shaped his life and the future of the Roman Empire. Hannibal Barca was born around 247 BCE in Carthage, a city that was a thriving hub of trade and culture. Despite its wealth and power, Carthage was locked in a bitter rivalry with Rome. Hannibal's childhood was defined by this tension, especially through his father, Hamilcar, a brilliant general. From an early age, Hannibal learned the ways of war and strategy, accompanying his father on campaigns in Spain. By 9, he had sworn a solemn oath to forever oppose Rome, which would guide his destiny. Raised in a city known for innovation and naval power, his childhood prepared him to become one of history's greatest commanders. Hannibal's success wasn't due to raw talent but years of strategy. Consider the Battle of Geronium. The Romans were confident they had Hannibal trapped, but he outsmarted them, using their overconfidence to his advantage. The Romans soon realized they were dealing with a true master, a man who could see 10 moves ahead. Each battle was an opportunity for Hannibal to advance his talent tree, unlocking strategies that left the Romans stunned. Everyone knows about the Battle of Cannae, one of the greatest defeats in Roman history. Hannibal faced an army twice the size of his own, but his maneuver was a military masterpiece. Using a double envelopment tactic, he surrounded and annihilated the Roman forces. Imagine being a Roman soldier, surrounded and outmatched by an army that shouldn't have been able to stand against you. It's no wonder every history documentary on the Punic Wars calls this battle a game-changer, sending a clear warning to Rome that their dominance was far from certain. But Hannibal's genius extended beyond physical battles. He was a master of psychological warfare. After Cannae, instead of ransoming captured Romans, he released them. This wasn't mercy. It was a calculated blow to Rome's confidence. Hannibal didn't need their money. He wanted them to fear him, and they did. Rome began to fracture internally as leaders argued over how to respond to this unstoppable force. Hannibal wasn't just feared, he was also a diplomat. His alliances with local tribes, such as the Samnites, allowed him to sustain his campaigns in Italy for over a decade. Here's something rarely taught in schools. Hannibal even reached out to Macedonia and Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire to undermine Rome. While Rome struggled to keep its alliances, Hannibal was quietly building his own network of support. Yet Carthage, his homeland, wasn't as supportive as you might expect. His relationship with Carthage's leaders was tense. Despite its naval strength, Carthage failed to send crucial reinforcements when Hannibal needed them. The leaders feared his rising popularity, and as Hannibal fought and won battles in Italy, he was also dealing with politics back home, a conflict that may have cost him the war. Eventually, Scipio Africanus, the only Roman general who could match Hannibal's brilliance, rose to prominence. Their rivalry became the stuff of legend. Scipio, having studied Hannibal's tactics, finally emerged as Rome's savior. In 202 BCE, at the Battle of Zama, the two titans clashed. Scipio emerged victorious, even using some of Hannibal's own strategies against him. This marked the end of the Second Punic War. But Hannibal's story didn't end there. What happened next is often overlooked in history. After his defeat, Hannibal didn't disappear. He became a wandering general, offering his military genius to kings across the Mediterranean. His most notable client, Antiochus III of the Seleucid Empire, who sought Hannibal's help in his own wars against Rome. Even in defeat, Hannibal remained a thorn in Rome's side. But Hannibal's brilliance wasn't limited to land battles. He revolutionized Carthage's naval power, turning its fleet into a force that challenged Rome's control of the Mediterranean. This is a side of Hannibal often forgotten, his ability to innovate on land and sea. Ultimately, Hannibal's life ended in exile. hunted by Rome. He chose to take his own life rather than be captured. His final words: "Let us relieve the Romans of their long-standing anxiety, since they think it is too long to wait for an old man's death." Even in death, Hannibal chose defiance, ending his life on his own terms. His influence didn't end with his death. Centuries later, Hannibal's legacy was revived during the Renaissance, when scholars like Niccolò Machiavelli marveled at his tactical genius. Hannibal wasn't just a defeated general. He was a visionary who changed the nature of warfare. His strategies, like the double envelopment at Cannae, are still taught in military academies today. And what about Carthage? Though it was destroyed in the Punic Wars, its legacy endures, just like Hannibal's. Carthage wasn't just a footnote in Roman history. It was a center of culture and innovation, a key player in African history. Hannibal remains one of the greatest historical figures of all time. So, what's the real story of Hannibal Barca? It's not just about his march through the Alps or his victory at Cannae. It's his ability to outthink and outmaneuver his enemies, reshaping warfare at every turn. Hannibal didn't just fight Rome. He forced them to evolve. His impact stretches beyond the Second Punic War and echoes in the strategies still used by modern armies today. If Hannibal's story has left you intrigued, consider yourself enlisted in history's greatest battles. Every episode here is another chapter in the book of legendary historical figures. So, why not stick around? Hit that button, and together, let's explore the strategies that shaped the world. After all, the next genius commander could be waiting in our next video.